Hey there gamers, welcome back to Mana Senpai, where we dive deep into the best and worst of the gaming world. Today we're strapping in for a journey through some of the most infamous flops in gaming history. From eye-straining graphics to disastrous marketing, these are the worst gaming consoles ever made. Ready to cringe? Let's get started! First up, we have Nintendo's infamous Virtual Boy. Released in 1995, this console promised 3D gaming but delivered headaches and eye strain instead. With its red and black graphics and awkward design, it quickly became a commercial failure. The Virtual Boy was ahead of its time in concept but a disaster in execution. It was designed to be a portable 3D gaming system, but its clunky, stationary setup made it anything but portable. The device's monochrome red display caused severe discomfort for many users, leading to its downfall. In fact, Nintendo pulled the plug on the Virtual Boy just a year after its release, selling only around 770,000 units worldwide. Despite its shortcomings, the Virtual Boy has a cult following today. Collectors and retro gaming enthusiasts often seek it out, not for its gameplay quality, but for its notorious place in gaming history. It's a perfect example of how even industry giants like Nintendo can misstep when innovation goes awry. Next, the Atari Jaguar. Marketed as the first 64-bit console, its library of games and confusing controller didn't live up to the hype. Atari's last-ditch effort to stay relevant in the gaming industry sadly flopped. The Atari Jaguar's marketing claimed it was a 64-bit console, but in reality it used two 32-bit processors, which didn't translate into superior performance. The controller was another issue, with an overly complex design featuring a numeric keypad that baffled gamers. The limited game library further compounded its woes with only a handful of titles worth playing. Atari's desperation was evident as they tried to recapture their early success from the 1980s. Unfortunately, the Jaguar's failure marked the end of Atari's run as a major player in the console market. Today, it's remembered more for its ambitious claims than for any substantial contribution to gaming. The Philips CDI is another classic misstep. Released in 1991, it aimed to be more than a gaming console, but its poor game selection and clunky interface left gamers unimpressed. Not even the infamous Zelda and Mario titles could save it. The Philips CDI was envisioned as a multimedia device capable of playing educational software, music CDs, and even movies. However, its clunky interface and underwhelming hardware made it a jack-of-all-trades master of none. The gaming aspect, which should have been its strongest suit, was marred by low-quality titles that failed to engage players. The CDI's Zelda and Mario games are infamous for their poor quality, often cited as some of the worst entries in these beloved franchises. These titles are a stark reminder that even legendary game series can falter when handled poorly. The CDI's legacy is a cautionary tale of overreaching ambition without the proper execution. Now, let's talk about the Gizmondo. This handheld console from 2005 was marred by a high price tag and poor marketing. Its shady business practices and financial scandals overshadowed the few decent games it had. The Gizmondo was a handheld device that tried to combine gaming with mobile phone functionality, GPS, and multimedia capability. Despite these innovative features, its hefty price and lack of compelling software led to poor sales. Moreover, the company behind Gizmondo Tiger Telematics was involved in various financial scandals, further tarnishing the console's reputation. The Gizmondo's game library was lackluster with only a handful of titles worth mentioning. Its high-profile failure is often cited as one of the biggest fiascos in gaming history, with Tiger Telematics going bankrupt just a year after the console's release. The Gizmondo serves as a stark reminder that even good ideas need solid execution and ethical business practices to succeed. The Sega 32X was supposed to extend the life of the Sega Genesis by adding 32-bit capabilities. However, with a lack of strong titles and the imminent arrival of the Sega Saturn, it quickly became obsolete. The Sega 32X was an ambitious attempt to bridge the gap between the Genesis and the upcoming Saturn. Unfortunately, the timing couldn't have been worse. Released in late 1994, it was quickly overshadowed by the 32-bit consoles hitting the market. Sega's internal conflicts and poor communication only made things worse, leading to a fragmented strategy. The 32X had a handful of decent games like Doom and Star Wars Arcade, but these were not enough to justify the add-on's existence. Sega fans were left confused and disappointed, and many chose to skip the 32X altogether in favor of the upcoming Sega Saturn or Sony PlayStation. This debacle significantly damaged Sega's reputation and contributed to their decline in the hardware market. We have the Ouya, a Kickstarter darling turned disappointment. Released in 2013, this Android-based console promised to revolutionize gaming but ended up with a weak game library and poor performance. The Ouya was one of the first high-profile Kickstarter projects, raising over $8.5 million from backers eager for an affordable, open-source gaming console. However, upon release, it became clear that the Ouya was plagued with issues. The hardware was underpowered, the controller was uncomfortable, and the game library was filled with poorly optimized mobile ports. Despite its noble goal of democratizing game development, the Ouya failed to attract significant developer support. Most games were either low quality or available on other platforms. The console's failure serves as a lesson in managing expectations and delivering on promises in the crowdfunding space. Next on the list is the Apple Pippin. Released in 1996, this console was Apple's attempt to break into the gaming market. With a high price and limited game selection, it couldn't compete with established consoles and quickly faded into obscurity. The Apple Pippin was an ambitious project that aimed to merge personal computing with gaming. Unfortunately, it was priced at a steep $599, making it one of the most expensive consoles at the time. Its performance and game library couldn't justify the cost, and it struggled to compete against the PlayStation and Nintendo 64. With only around 42 games released, the Pippin's game library was limited and unremarkable. Apple's lack of marketing focus and support for the console sealed its fate. The Pippin is now a rare collector's item, symbolizing a rare misstep from a company that usually gets things right. The 3DO interactive multiplayer, released in 1993, was a powerful console for its time. However, its exorbitant price and lack of compelling exclusive games led to its downfall, proving that sometimes even good hardware can't save a bad business model. The 3DO was created by Electronic Arts founder Trip Hawkins, aiming to set a new standard for gaming consoles. Priced at a staggering $690, it was far more expensive than its competitors. While the hardware was impressive, the high cost deterred many potential buyers, and its game library lacked the killer apps needed to drive sales. Despite having some notable games like Jex and the Need for Speed, the 3DO couldn't justify its high price tag. The lack of first-party support and exclusive titles meant it couldn't compete with more affordable options. The 3DO's failure highlighted the importance of balancing hardware quality with affordability and strong software support. Despite being a follow-up to the wildly successful Wii, the Wii U suffered from poor marketing, confusing hardware design, and a lack of third-party support, making it one of Nintendo's biggest commercial failures. The Wii U was supposed to build on the success of the Wii, but its confusing name and marketing led many to believe it was merely an accessory for the Wii rather than a new console. The gamepad, while innovative, wasn't utilized effectively by developers, leading to a lack of compelling exclusive titles. Despite having some great games like Super Mario 3D World and Mario Kart 8, the Wii U struggled to gain traction. Its sales were a fraction of the original Wii's, and many third-party developers abandoned the platform. The Wii U's failure paved the way for the Nintendo Switch, which learned from its predecessor's mistakes and became a massive success. Finally, we have the Commodore CDTV. Released in 1991, this console tried to combine a computer and a gaming console, but ended up doing neither well. Its high price and lack of focus led to its quick demise in the competitive gaming market. The Commodore CDTV was an ambitious hybrid that aimed to be a multimedia powerhouse. It could play CDs, display photo albums, and even connect to a keyboard for basic computing tasks. However, at a price of around $990, it was far too expensive for most consumers, especially when it didn't excel in any of its intended functions. The CDTV's game library was limited and didn't stand out compared to dedicated gaming consoles. It also suffered from poor marketing, as consumers were confused about its purpose. The CDTV's failure underscored the challenges of blending multiple technologies into a single device without a clear focus on user needs. There you have it, folks, the worst gaming consoles that tried and failed to make their mark. Do you have any memories of these consoles? Let us know in the comments below, as it's always fascinating to see how the gaming industry has evolved from these missteps. Thanks for joining us on this trip down memory lane. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the gaming world. Stay tuned for our next video. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming!